It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
These are the final seconds.
The lead in the fourth. Can they hold on to it?
That do or die time. And everything rides on one shot. But it isn't going to be that easy.
And it's a one-point game.
This is down to the wire.
They're going to try the three-point attempt.
One shot to take you to the top. One winner. This is clutch basketball. That's the NBA playoffs. That's game.
This episode is brought to you by HP Instant Ink. No one is reading your mind, but HP Instant Ink knows when your printer is running low and sends new cartridges before you run out. So you never have to think about ink. For details, visit hp.com/instant ink Spotify. Conditions apply.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
It was a no-hitter. I'm Ulysses Sembrano.
We'll get into that. Host of Locked On Rays, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. You can subscribe to Locked On Rays on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Odyssey, and online at fanstreamsports.com. And be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Rays. And you can email us, lockedonrays@gmail.com, if you have questions, comments, concerns. Ulysses, first off, want to say big congrats to the Tampa Bay Lightning for the two-peat. This one was for real. No question about what happened this year, and they won it in the pandemic year without fans. So this is definitely validation and verification that the team is for real. And I think Jane Castor is probably the happiest person on the planet now after them winning at home. Shots fired across the bay there.
Yes.
Okay, Ulysses, you didn't waste any time. You didn't bury the lead there at all. You came out with it right in front. Great, of course, that the Tampa Bay Rays swept the Cleveland Indians and have improved to a 51-36 record on the year, now just 2.5 back of the Boston Red Sox. But game 2 of the doubleheader, of course, this year games are being played 7 innings for doubleheaders. It was I guess, not technically a no-hitter. A hit was not allowed in the 7 innings. And the 5 Rays pitchers that went out there to combine for that. So you are seriously arguing that this is a no-hitter, that this should be counted in the record book.
If they didn't like it, then they shouldn't have made it seven innings. I mean, they're playing the game as it's meant to be played. Those are the outs that they are given. And I don't know if it was Austin Holloway or somebody else I saw on Twitter saying this, but if a pitcher gets tagged in a loss by just going into a game, a fresh inning, what should be a fresh inning in the 10th, 11th, 12th, and allow us a fly ball and then a fly ball, and then gets tagged with a loss, with a runner that he never let in, with a runner that nobody let in, he still gets tagged a loss.
Do they count that as a loss, though? I thought they changed that. I don't know if they count it as a loss, though. Do they?
If they changed it, then again, some pitchers must have gotten tagged with a loss at some point. It wasn't like that in day one. So that's my point. The walk-off can happen in the 7th inning because that's what is happening. I just don't understand this notion that you can just pick and choose which tradition that you keep. I don't like that. If you're changing some things like the ghost runner, I'm pretty sure if the game is 7 innings and there were no hits allowed, it's a no-hitter.
Look, if this is the start of all games being 7 innings, I'm on board with that. I will accept that. If you want to play 162 and make them all 7 innings, I can get on board with that. But I mean, don't we have to relabel it though as a combined no-hitter? Like we can't just flat out call it a no-hitter. I mean,
sure,
5 pitchers, 7 innings. What are we going to count cycles now? If 4 guys, one guy hits a single, another hits a double, another hits a triple, another hits a home run. Like this, everybody gets a trophy now. In fact, I would argue that what Michael Wacha did in game 1 was more impressive than what the 5 Rays pitchers combined to do in game 2 against, let's be honest. Okay. Getaway day. The Indians on a 8-game losing streak at the time turns into 9. The bottom half of the order was call-ups from AAA. Like, let's be honest. Those were not competitive names that Terry Francona. It was, all right, we're going to give you some action here from Columbus, do what you can, have some fun, and then we're going to send you on a bus back. Like Daniel Johnson, really, Austin Hedges, Ernie Clint, Oscar Mercado, who, couldn't even hit in AAA, and he got the call up to the majors. I love that he's a Gaither kid, local kid, and got back to the majors, but still, I almost feel like this feat has been accomplished at some point, either this season or last season, where you had, like, say, in a traditional 9-inning game where the Rays, whoever is the opener or starting, gives up, a hit, a run, couple hits, whatever it may be, and then 5 relievers combine to not allow a hit for the ensuing 7 innings. I feel like I don't think it's all that special, quite frankly. I would give more credence to what the team did defensively to turn that into a no-hitter between Taylor Walls, Wander Franco, and Austin Meadows. And it might not even be categorically a no-hitter if I guess the official score initially ruled that collision between Walls and Franco in air, then change it to a hit. So something tells me, and I know Terry Francona is being petty, but it is what it is, that will be transferred back to a hit. First instinct, you got to go with. You can't have the score switching it back, then back, then back. Like, it's ridiculous. I don't think it's that. Look, it's great. I'm more excited about the fact that the Rays swept and won the game instead of 7-inning combined no hitters with 5 pitchers.
I don't think, there have been combined no-hitters before in the history of the game. So I don't see a big deal with, tagging it differently or anything like that. I think, honestly, combined no-hitters are way more unique than simple no-hitters. Look, I understand where you're coming from, but like, combined no-hitters have happened in the past, and they actually happen at a way less rate than just one guy allowing no hits. So ergo, it's more difficult to have 5 guys that come in and just shut it down. Yes, it's 7 innings. So it does feel, of course, different. But all I'm arguing is that it's MLB who said you play 7 innings. And the players are just playing within those rules. And within those rules, they didn't allow a hit. Now, again, they're calling it a notable achievement and all that. Yes. Sure, I'll get past that. But to your point, out of all the things you said, I do think that seeing Michael Wacha be successful in that first game gives you a little bit of hope, because he's been up and down this season. I know some people that just do not want to see Michael Wacha anymore in a Rays uniform. I'm not quite there yet. I think, honestly, for $3.5 million, he's been a kind of a little bit worse than what I expected.
You're getting what he's a number 5,
basically.
Yeah. And you need a guy that can pitch innings. Like, if people are calling for the Rays to release him, trade him, send him down, like, who are you replacing him with right now?
Thank you.
Now, maybe there might be a question when Chris Archer is healthy and Ryan Thompson is healthy, and the list goes on and on. But right now, I think you kind of have to ride with him for what it may be. So, on the no-hitter thing, I'm going to put a double asterisk next to it. The fact that it was 5 guys. And isn't that the whole rate? Like, I don't think that
there's no difference between a combined no-hitter and a no-hitter in the record books. It's just a no-hitter. So, the Astros did it a few years ago.
So if they considered this, if this went in the record books as a no-hitter and they don't say combined in front of it, doesn't that take away from what Matt Garza did 10, 11 years ago, where you say the last no-hitter was on this date in 2021 instead of what Matt Garza, one man, did over the course of 9 innings?
Not at all, because that's just like saying, well, if you don't go into the Hall of Fame in the first year and you get in barely in the 10th year with 75.1%, is it diluting what the guy like Ken Griffey Jr. did because he got in with 99%? No.
Okay, let me flip it. Things. If there's 5 guys who combine to have a 70 WAR and you put all 5 guys in the Hall of Fame, then I think that's a little unfair. Okay, what's more impressive? I honestly don't look, in the, I'm not even going to get to the voting here because it's clearly biased and clearly Rays homerism that 70% of the people out there think that it should be counted as a no hitter. But okay, what's more impressive?
So what is it with you? Is it the 7 innings or the combined? Because Madison Bumgarner did it for 7 innings.
It's both. And okay. I still don't think in those, look, those 6 outs matter when you're, especially if you're one guy.
Yeah, 100%.
In order for a third, fourth time. And okay, I'll get on board if those 5 relievers struck out just about everybody in that game, but they only had 8 strikes. It was a contact oriented. No, I can't get on board with this thing. I can't.
Call it a no hitter. Wait, hold up. Call it a no hitter, but then say parentheses 2021. Or something.
So asterisk.
You can explain it. Yeah, not an asterisk because everybody knows that the asterisk it has so much connotation towards it. But
nicer asterisks. That's what
just nicer asterisks. There you go. A COVID asterisk. These were the rules that were given to me. I completed the task. I literally gave up no hits in an MLB game. How is this not a no hitter?
Yeah.
You told me to play 7 innings, Rob Manfred. You told me.
Although it wouldn't be, I gave up no hits in a 7 game. It was we gave up no hits. All freaking 5 of us.
Sure.
With different
which has happened in the
velocities
past. Which has happened in the past. I'm not getting on board with the whole combined thing. One thing I will say about this. What if it went to extra innings and the Rays didn't allow a hit for 2 extra innings and then walk it off in the 9th? Would it have been a no-hitter?
I mean, they would still probably go with the rule, but I would think I would absolutely say that would be very, very impressive considering you have the ghost runner, but that's not what happened here.
I know, but I'm saying, yeah. But we're done talking about it. I'm just asking, what would MLB have done if the Rays had to go to extra innings for a couple more until the 9th? They went in the bottom of the 9th in the walk-off, and they didn't let any actual hits get on board the 8th and the 9th. Would it have been a no-hitter?
No, I don't think it would because it still is the traditional 7-inning game, and then you just consider extra innings. I don't think they would.
Then I think
you
it's
could send Manfred an email, but
yeah, I will. Actually, send me his information.
Yeah, I'll
have your people talk to my people.
By the way, what do you think was more impressive? The combined no-hitter, 7-inning game, 5 guys, or what? Or what Ryan Yarbrough did earlier this season, a complete game, 9 innings, complete game against the Yankees.
At Yankee
I think
Stadium.
he gave up 2 earned runs. They were solo home runs. Yes. And and it wasn't, look, I don't know if the Yankees were totally healthy, but they had some dudes in that lineup. The Indians, there was really just one guy to account for, and that was Jose Ramirez, who, by the way, what he's doing without protection is amazing. Bobby Bradley's batting cleanup. No, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that the Rays won. I'm going with that. I'm not saying it's a no hitter or whatever. I'll say nice feat, solid feat.
Just go with the Manfred. Notable achievement. What a notable achievement we saw yesterday.
Some comments here on the no hitter debate. Ty McCann says, no, I think it's fair to say they pitched 7 no-hit innings, or if you want to call it a 7-inning no-hitter with an asterisk or something, you can, but it's not a no-hitter without going 9 innings, in my opinion. Zach Dabb says it should be a no-hitter. Mad Bum deserves his. If this is the way the game is going to be, stats should evolve with it. Again, if you want to make it, I will count. I just think when we're talking about no-hitters, I feel like if you're including a team that uses 4, 5, 6 guys, it takes away from that one guy. If you labeled this as a no hitter, I feel like it would take away from what Mad Bum did, but it is what it is with that. Austin Holloway has a lot of choice words. Let's just say that he agrees with you. On the bright side, of course, again, the Rays won. They swept. They have an off day before facing, I haven't even looked up. Who do they face next? The Blue Jays?
Toronto. Yeah, Toronto. At home. Yeah.
Are you going to go to one of those games this weekend?
No, my next game, of course, will be July 31st with you and with Locked On Rays listeners. I hope they've bought their tickets for July 31st, man.
Nice. I might try to go to a game this weekend. I'll definitely be sure to buy some Fully Loaded Chew. Fully Loaded Chew is tobacco-free, long cut in pouches that give you the same pack, dip, spit, and buzz that you're used to without all that tobacco. It's available in 9 flavors. Fully Loaded Chew is made with all food-grade ingredients. And again, it's tobacco-free nicotine, the purest form of nicotine available. Fully Loaded Chew is offering Locked On team listeners a special offer right now. You can try a can for just $1. That's right, just $1. So go to fullyloadedchew.com. Use the promo code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, just $1 in free shipping if you use the promo code Locked On at checkout. Again, the next time you go for a dip, be sure to make it Fully Loaded Chew, fullyloadedchew.com.
There's nothing more amazing in this life than saving time and money. And you can do that by using Rock Auto. Why choose to spend 30%, 50%, even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or a car dealership? Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Rock Auto prices are reliably low for every customer. They have everything you could ever need: brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, and even new carpet. Go explore their easy-to-use website today to find the solution to your auto part needs. RockAuto.com. That's where you have to go right now to see all their parts that are available for your car or truck. Write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. RockAuto.com.
Okay, Ulysses. One thing we didn't get to regarding yesterday's contest was the promotion, call-up, and MLB debut of Vidal Brujan, who I believe is the number 2 prospect in the Rays system. There it is. Standing ovation. Let's do it together. Standing O.
Standing O. There we go.
I gave him a standing O from my couch. Again, if we're going to do it for Wander Franco, then I think it's only fair and it's only apt and it's only appropriate to do it for every other player that makes his MLB debut for the Rays. I don't care if it's the number 287th ranked prospect or the number 2 prospect. I'm going to give that guy a standing ovation from now on. And by the way, Vidal's path and track to the big leagues, look, we know that Wander Franco has been a stud basically since he was born. Since he was 12, 13, 14, he was getting major league looks. But Vidal Brujan signed for $15,000 as a 16-year-old, as a guy who's 5'7", 145 pounds, and to become the player he has become to be is pretty darn impressive. And I don't know if Vidal had quite the same opportunity as Wander Franco, a guy who got, $3.8 million and every chance in the world, where Vidal really had to separate him from all the, how many other guys get thrown 10, 15, 20, $25,000 contracts internationally.
100%.
So big
100%.
Big congrats to Vidal. And that's why we gave him a standing ovation.
Yes. And look, it's been kind of a really, I wouldn't say slow, but it's been developing for years now. What Vidal has shown, and this year, finally, the power started to kind of show up, especially early in the season, where that wasn't a skill that he possessed, and that just takes time to grow into your body and all that. Yeah, look, I think what he showed yesterday, to just come out, make a great play in the first inning, like a diving play, throw to first, then at the bottom of the first, get a hit to get an RBI notched, then steals a base like it was nothing. Like that might have been the easiest bag he has stolen since maybe low A. Like it was that easy. It should have been indifference, honestly, if we're being serious. And he did it. He showed what he could do. I'm really excited to see him. I feel like what BA and Dwayne were saying about Vidal and how exciting and thrilling he could be, that just injects some excitement to the fan base. And ultimately in game 2, you actually saw the Rays' future right there, right? Walls playing, Franco was playing, Vidal was playing, Mejia was playing. I think there are 2 or 3 guys that will not be wearing a Rays uniform in a couple weeks time, maybe in the offseason if they're able to juggle so much, but 2 to 3 guys will probably be leaving. And that means Yandy, Choi, Wendell, Brasso. That's Margot, Phillips, KK. I think that those guys are on warning. Hey, the future is here. They're ready to play, and it's up to them. Look, if Vidal struggles and doesn't even hit above his weight, then yeah, he might be sent down to AAA. But if he's killing it for the 2 weeks that he's going to be here while Margot is on the IL, or the 3 weeks, whatever it is, and he is still killing it, I think it would be very difficult for the front office and for Cash to stand up in front of cameras or even the Zoom interviews and say, you know what? He just needs a little bit more development. What are you talking about? The guy's hitting 300 and slugging 500. Like, well, what are you talking about? He already is in the middle of the pack with stolen bases in the team, if that were to happen. So hopefully that's what's happening. And in 3 weeks time, he forces their hand because he's playing so well.
Who's the first to go? Because Manny Margot will be healthy in a couple weeks, seemingly. And there might be another player or two that's going to be healthy. Is it KK? Yeah. Is that the guy? I mean, you mentioned a lot of names. What are you putting odds on right now as far as first to go? Assuming there's not an injury that happens between now and then. I mean, that always seems to happen. It always seems to end up working out. But I almost see this as the meal ticket for KK out of town, quite frankly.
That's the loophole, right? If somebody gets hurt, then you don't have to make that decision. But if nobody does get hurt, which obviously we don't want anybody to get hurt, I think Wendell would give you the best bang for buck right now, just because of the season that he's having and the flexibility that he has around we say that a lot of teams don't value versatility or defensive prowess as much as the Rays do, and which is 100%. But it's more mainstream and acceptable for clubs to like, oh, this guy can play third, short, and second, and maybe a corner outfielder. Right. Like that for them is a little bit more manageable to digest than, he has 10 DRS or the UZR is insane. That's a little bit more digestible. So I think Wendell would give you the most bang for buck. Yandy
I gotta
Diaz,
be honest. I would rather the Rays just cut ties with KK, get a player to be named later or something. Get whatever you can, cut that salary. I'd rather have Joey Wendell on the roster than KK. I feel like that's the direction the Rays are going, assuming that Manny Margot is healthy, and then you can pay Brett Phillips, 500, 600. Like you can make the outfield work. You can make all those guys and the infield work, quite frankly, if you keep Wendell around. I find it very, very hard if the Rays are trying to compete for a playoff spot that they would just trade Wendell before July 31st, especially if things say something doesn't go well with Vidal, say he struggles mightily, or say something happens to Taylor Walls. We know he's had that wrist issue, or we know.
But make it difficult. Make it more difficult. Make it Wander's killing it. Vidal is killing it. Like you have to make a decision. You have to make a move. I think if you want trade value back, you have to give something. And I don't think Cake is going to be that guy. I think that's Joey Wendell. But to your point, if all you want is roster spots, if all you want is more playing time for the guys that don't have the playing time right now because of too many bodies, that if that's your issue that you're trying to fix, then KK should be that guy, because you could always just player to be named later. Look, if you gave Wilson Ramos up for the to the Phillies in 2018, who was an all-star catcher that season, you're giving him up for a bag of baseballs.
Look, if you're giving up Charlie Morton, you can do that with KK. Him back for nothing. Yes, you can absolutely do that. And they've done that with many guys before. CJ Cron, Corey Dickerson, which quite frankly is more surprising on the end with all of that. Vidal, by the way, over his minor league career, he has hit a line of 290, 374, 423 with a 10.6% walk rate and 11.6% strikeout rate over 448 games, collecting 166 stolen bases along the way. That's the other thing, is you're bringing speed, athleticism, versatility, a guy that doesn't strike out, and a guy that walks. Talk about something that's really, really needed for this team right now, considering, especially when you get into those late inning, extra inning situations where we just need a guy that can move the runner over, put the ball in play, draw a walk, steal a base. And he does all that. Could you imagine him as the ghost runner starting in the 10th inning or the 11th inning at second, or just being available to come up to the plate and being a switch hitter? Like that's a huge, huge difference maker. Look, I don't think he's going to bring a lot of power at all. In fact, I think the power numbers and maybe the average, like when it comes to him getting enough playing time, it'll sort of mirror what Manny Margot does. But I think that Bruján brings more in terms of he's a little bit faster. He draws a few more walks. He plays a few more positions, and the switch hitter thing as well. Yeah. Like if you're facing a righty reliever and he could bunt one. I would assume Bruján, if he's willing to play left field, right field, center field, second base, short, he's also played some third, which people don't know about. He'd be willing to lay down a bunt. He would be a perfect guy for that. He's going to be, I think, in time, a prototypical leadoff hitter. I don't hate what Cash and company did with him the other day. Put him at number 5, sort of be the table setter for the bottom of the lineup. I like that. I was on board with that.
And I like it. And to your point, I think, he's very adept with the hand being the bat being an extension to his arm, which is, the Ichiro types, the Valillo types, that is just an extension of your arm. They just feel very adept using that. And with the bunting, I mean, that would be just so fun. That's thrilling. If he becomes that kind of guy, that'd be really good to get on base. That's a skill set. And I think there's a spot for that in the game. And to your point, look, it would be so exciting to have him as a leadoff hitter. Like I know it's been great to see G-Man and Austin Meadows in the leadoff spot. I'm okay with that. And even Randy Arozarena, I like him in the top, but look at this. Number 1, Vidal Bruján. You put number 2, Wander, and number 3, Randy.
Yeah.
Wow. Number 4, Austin Meadows. Number 5, Yandy Diaz. That's a lineup. That's Taylor Walls 6. Like, come on. How are you losing games, Kevin? Do you ever lose?
I guess the only time you're losing games is just the fact that you have so many rookies on the roster between Randy Arozarena. Yes, he's still a rookie. Taylor Walls, Wander Franco, Vidal Bruján, Shane McClanahan. We've seen Luis Patino at times and some others as well. So very good stuff. We actually got a comment here from Old Rascal on Twitter regarding Bruján, and most of the comments on Bruján's call-up, there wasn't quite the reaction that we got with Wander Franco. It seemed like the world stopped upon his call-up. There wasn't quite that same thing with Bruján, although there was a hurricane to navigate and a lot of other things to take into account with that. But comment here from Old Rascal on Twitter says, Bruján offers Cash lineup versatility and already was on the 40-man, but Nathan Lukes is a much better hitter. Rays really could use Nathan's bat against left-handed pitchers. What about Josh Lowe, Esteban Quiroz? Who goes first, Wendell, Margot, KK, or Phillips? Well, we addressed the second part of that. But look, Nathan Lukes is tearing it up in AAA right now, batting around 360. But I say small sample size. I say BABIP there. Like over his career, he's not been as good of a hitter as Vidal Bruján. Like if you look back at what he did in AA and single, like he's a career 276 hitter across all minor league platforms. So I'm not going to, say a guy deserves a call up based on what he did in 128 at bats. And also I think Nathan Lukes is, correct me if I'm wrong here, a left-handed batter. So I don't know unless he's a reverse platoon guy, but he doesn't bring to the table what Vidal offers. Vidal is a difference maker. He's dynamic, and Nathan Lukes, again, maybe sometime he'll get an opportunity, but I think he's more of a 4A player. Same for Esteban Quiroz. As far as Josh Lowe, at this point, do we really want to add a heavy strikeout guy to the equation? That's been the problem for the Rays. I don't know if I want a guy who's who's averaging more than a strikeout per game, and that's been an issue for him.
Again, Randy Arozarena, Austin Meadows, Kevin Kiermaier, Manuel Margot, Brett Phillips. Like you're going to insert another just an outfield position? No, get out of here. Get out. I
agree. I agree.
Josh Lowe, I don't think he's going to see some major league unless an injury happens. Unless Margot and KK are traded. I don't see a scenario where Josh Lowe has a spot on this team. For God's sakes, Wander Franco, Taylor Walls, and Vidal Brujan might not even have an actual spot. Like, you have to make moves for them. So what, you're also going to tie your hands with Josh Lowe? I don't think so.
Now, maybe next year where the Rays may make a decision on Brett Phillips, and that might open up a spot for Josh Lowe, but I think it's still maybe a little bit too early for him. I'm saying Old Rascal is the agent for Nathan Lukes, Josh Lowe, and Esteban Quiroz. I mean, Vidal Brujan has done it longer, more consistently, and it's his time. Like, I don't know. Brujan might have had a meltdown if Nathan Lukes was called up before him. Like, at first it was like, okay, the Rays trade Willy Adames. Does that mean Vidal? No, it's Taylor Walls. And then it's, okay, who's the next guy going to get called up? It's got to be Vidal, right? Nope, it's Wander Franco. And then it's finally Vidal Brujan, and I think he's here to stay. Bet Online is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your sports action. Baseball season is in full swing, and you can track all the action at Bet Online and get all the latest news, odds, and info for all of your sporting needs, including MLB, NBA, NHL, and all your UFC, MMA action. Don't sit on the sidelines anymore, as this is your chance to get into the game as teams prep for their runs to the playoffs. Head over to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, your online sportsbook experts. And remember, use that promo code. I didn't tell you about this. Locked On, LOCKEDON. Again, use LOCKEDON at betonline.ag to get that 50% welcome bonus there for yourself. Ulysses, we don't have much time here, and I do want to give a shout out to the Cranky Fan on Twitter, who's asked some really poignant questions. We'll probably have to get to that either on Friday or next week. What I first want to mention, though, before we end the show is if you haven't had a chance to listen to our interview with Keenan Lamb from Baseball Prospectus, it is definitely a must listen. I mean, he was just a treasure trove of great information on the upcoming MLB draft and had some really, really positive things to say about Shane Baz. So, and we might have him on the show after the draft at some point or in the future. So that is one of, I think, Ulysses, it's fair to say that is an episode you bookmark and listen to before the draft comes.
100%. And he made me a better fan. He made me a smarter fan. And I'm not, I think there are so many niches within baseball. There's fantasy, and there's the draft, and then there's the actual major league teams and all of the other things, the analytics. There's so many little things about baseball that you can really go into an abyss and just get lost inside there. There are so many of those. And the Prospect Watch is definitely one of those. And he is the master of his domain there. To put it like that, he just knows his stuff, and talking to somebody that just knows their stuff, it's really, really refreshing. And I had a blast. And I told him, you were there, obviously. Yeah. I told him that was the most interesting conversation that we had, and I can't wait to talk to him again after the draft.
Absolutely. And do want to add a note here. So we asked him about which player or players will have the best career. This was based on last year's draft. So which player or players from the 2020 draft will wind up being, Hall of Fame level types, or really being the top of the class from that draft. And he's amending his answer. I can't remember exactly who he said the other day. I think Robert Hassel was one of them, but there were a couple guys he threw out, but he wanted to add to that. He says, upon further review, I would have said Jordan Walker of the Cardinals and Mick Abel of the Phillies. Also, he says, I really liked Cole Wilcox, who the Rays got in the Snell trade. How about that? If Keenan Lamb gives the vote of approval on Cole Wilcox, that's really all I need for that. Okay,
Yes.
that wraps up this edition of the Locked On Rays podcast. Remember to tell your smart device to play the most recent episode of the Locked On Today and Locked On MLB Prospects podcast. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you